Hi, we are here with Dr. Doug Peterson, and we wanted to delve into his writings. So this is sort of an introductory video. So we learn about his background, education, and the progenesis and what motivated him to do these books. Hi, Doug.
Hi. Well, thank you for the introduction. I want to say that the my book, "How You Think and Feel Change Your Body: Dynamic Body Psychology," um, is a reflection of work that I've done most of my life. It really started when I was at Boise State, and I was working on a bachelor's degree in psychology. And during that time, I was studying a number of different theories, and I was looking for commonalities or ways of understanding these theories. And I did an independent study on that. And what I came up with was very interesting. That's where this triune or tripart theory comes from. And first of all, I could see that we all had a mental ability. We all think. We have this thinking all in our head. We think about things. So thinking had to be a major part of any psychological theory. And then I realized we had feelings, and and thinking and emotions had to be a big part of it, because a lot of activities that we do or reactions that we have come from the way we think and the way we feel. And looking at that, I really came to the understanding that uh, that we're housed in a body. So we have the physical aspect, but the physical aspect obviously includes both emotions and thinking. But I came up with this three-part theory in psychology that to me made a lot of sense in how to understand why we're behaving the way we are. And um, I ended up writing numerous papers on this three-part theory when I was in Boise State and afterwards. After I graduated from Boise State, I became a social worker in the state of Idaho, and I was amazed to find out how well off I was. And that is because when you study people who are in very desperate situations and are really having a hard time, you realize in comparison to yourself that they have a much more difficult time than you do, especially when I was doing child abuse investigations. And I would see children traumatized and hear uh, uh, their voices, hear their experiences of going through the trauma and what happened to them. And that made a big impression on me, as well as talking to mothers or parents who were found to be abusing their child, and understanding their where they're coming from, and which is very often that they would visualize themselves as their own mother talking as they're punishing the child. But I began to realize that this trauma was generational, and it was not just um, in the head; it's in their heads and their emotions and their body when they're lashing out. So I learned quite a bit from social work and doing that, and then later on, I moved to San Diego and started a master's degree in psychology at the USIU. And my initial intention was to develop this three-part psychology that I had come up with, that I'd written papers on. Um, and and but during that time, I also started a training in a massage school, Institute of Psychostructural Balancing, training in a massage school because I wanted to learn massage. I thought that would be something I could do while going to graduate school. that I could do part-time. That would be an interesting and active thing to do because saw myself as more athletic and wanted to be more active. Well, when I started in the school, I found out that the people in that school actually had the same theory that I did, this three-part theory. And they related it to ideas of body psychology that Dykewald and other people had written about. And I found that just fascinating. So in going through that school, it was a shorter program, I used that information in helping me develop what became a master's thesis on body psychology. And I was amazed to find out that there were so many different ancient philosophies that had the same idea of a three-part psychological system that I'd come up with, and so I used that in the thesis. And then learning massage work was really incredible because in massage work I could see that the different traumas that I had witnessed before as a social worker, that people had embodied these traumas. And by doing certain kinds of body work, the trauma would begin to release. And sometimes people would have very strong emotional reactions because of the releasing the different trauma, or at least getting in touch with the trauma that had really affected them their whole life and colored their decisions. And so the embodiment of our trauma was really a highlight in my education. After that time, after I graduated from with a master's degree and as a holistic health practitioner, I started my own private massage business, and eventually ended up creating a school. And in the school, I could teach this three-part system and how it relates to the body, and the three-part system in terms of massage. And so I did that for a number of years. Then after that, I had to take some time off to start to write a dissertation, and I was in a program, and I finished the dissertation and became a licensed psychologist in California, and of course later on became a school psychologist as well. But I could see that the whole idea of this three-part system, the mental, the emotional, and the physical, were really a part of life for everybody, because the system that we have. And also I found out that there were a number of other therapies that had as their basis the three-part systems. For instance, cognitive behavioral therapy has this cognitive, emotional, physical basis of their therapy. And of course, CBT is one of the most known effective methods. So my understanding of this three-part system, these three centers, and body psychology has been really instrumental. And what I wanted to put in this book and put out is just how all of the three-part system affects our psychology, affects our body at every level. It affects the way we develop, affects our posture, it affects how we grow. Anyway, and it affects the different psychological problems we have, and it's because we embody the psychological trauma that we experience that cause our psychological problems. when we embody it, very often because of the reoccurring either event or thoughts or feelings about it, over time make changes in the actual structure of the body. And that's where this idea of body psychology comes from, and why in the book I go through different parts of the body and show the different variations depending on the thinking and feelings of different people. So that's really what I'm trying to do in this book.